Hey all, it's Julianne here. I started this YouTube video so I could tell my story. All of you have a story too, and it's when we share our stories is when we learn. I've been through an interesting journey the last, especially, 7 years. I decided to sell everything I own with me and my previous husband, buy a boat, and go sailing without really having any experience. Actually, no experience. My idea of sailing was sitting in a cockpit with a glass of wine for happy hour. So we bought the boat in April and took off in August of 2018, not knowing that this lovely little thing called COVID was brewing. But when you're on a boat, you're not worried about that. You're worried about staying alive. We had to get out of the Strait of Juan de Fuca for our very first journey out onto the open ocean for the first time. And the Strait of Juan de Fuca is a notorious body of water because you have the ocean rushing in and the Salish Sea going out, and it creates what's called these walls of water. Well, we happened to find one of these walls of water on our first attempt. We headed out 3 hours down the strait, and the water became more choppy, and then the wind picked up and it started getting ugly, and we're just like, oh my gosh, it's August 30th, and if this is what it's like already right here, what's the rest of the ocean going to be like down the coast? And as we proceeded, all of a sudden this huge, like 10,000 gallons of water just hit me so hard in the back, and I pushed the hatch open and all the water went into our boat, and we got completely covered by one of these walls of water. So we quickly turned around and headed back with our tails tucked into the marina. This was the beginning of a journey, and it was the very first life lesson, on this journey, it was the very first lesson that I learned spiritually. We went back into the marina, and it was so windy we couldn't get our boat to dock. The bow was hitting the boat next to us. I was up there with my feet trying to kick it off, and the stern was hitting the dock, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is our very first maiden voyage, and we're not doing so hot. A Native American yells from across the way, grab the midship, grab the midship. So I quickly jumped off the boat, grabbed a line, and tied it around the middle cleat in the boat, and then was able to pull the boat in to the dock. I collapsed. I'm just like, wow, what a day. But the lesson that I learned is all about the middle way. It's about balance. In Buddhism, they speak of the middle way, which is between yin and yang, and the polarity of dark and light. And we need that balance in our lives to move forward in a healthy, positive, balanced way in harmony. So we tried again. We had to pull everything out of our boat. Everything was drenched. It was covered with seaweed, and we went to the local Port Angeles laundromat and cleaned our mattresses and sprayed everything with vinegar. And then it was time for us to go. Well, this time we woke up earlier, and the Native Americans said, you got to leave like at 4 in the morning. Well, we didn't leave till 9 a.m. the first time. Novice. So we quickly, the night before, we remembered to toast Neptune with a little bit of our bourbon into the water. And so that morning we were up at 3:30 a.m. We had our coffee in our Yeti mugs, and we decided, and we headed out. We were all ready for this notorious body of water, and it looked like an absolute lake. It was perfect divine timing. It was like the universe just said, okay, this is the right time, go right ahead. And we got out onto the ocean, and the Pacific Ocean looked like a lake. There was no sailing happening whatsoever. All night long, we went clank, clank, clank. there was no wind. We were going in circles because we hadn't really gotten used to our navigation system yet. In the pitch black, it's so hard to know which direction you're going, and we can barely see the compass. And all night long, a whale circled our boat. It just like circled us all night long. And I think it fell in love with our boat, Epiphany. So that was the beginning of the sailing journey, and we continued on down the coast, and it was really an amazing trip, full of highs and lows. And just like life, I've learned that the water represents our emotions, and our thoughts, feelings, and emotions create our reality. So if we're thinking doom and gloom and we're thinking things are just, not going that great, then that's what our reality will be. So it really taught me to stay positive no matter what situation you're in. And so right now I'm really asking all of you, with everything that's going on in the world, to put on that positivity hat. It's like so important right now to have balance, harmony, and spiritual alignment. And that is towards your true purpose, whatever you believe spiritually. My 99-year-old grandma said, Julianne, it doesn't matter what you believe in, just believe in something. And spirituality is an individual journey. And it's up to the individual to figure out how it is, how they want to show up, what their values are, and what they believe in. I just know what I experienced, and that's what I'm here to do, is share my story, and hopefully you get some wisdom or some fun. And I do speaking events, but sometimes, they're in places that people can't make it. So I thought I would do a YouTube channel to share my story with everybody. Thanks for coming in today. This is just the beginning of more to come. But again, I want you to take from this that you are the only you there is. You are special, you are loved, you are needed, and you have purpose. So that's what I do for a living. I help people find their purpose, and you're put here for a unique reason, only for you. And so it's based on your passions. Trying to figure out what your passions are the most important thing, because then you'll live a happy, fulfilled life. And then use it to be somehow in service of others. All right. Thank you. Signing off. We'll talk to you soon.